This is the Mortal Kombat Iceberg. Sorry, this is the Mortal Kombat Iceberg.
Iceberg, right ahead!
This concept is fairly popular here on YouTube. For those who don't know, an iceberg features various levels with trivia related to the overall topic. In this case, Mortal Kombat. Reddit user CombatGuy800 created this iceberg, so huge shout out to him. And there are 8 levels of entries that require more context. The tip of the iceberg features information most Mortal Kombat fans will probably already understand, and the deeper we move down, the more obscure the entries become. In today's video, we will closely examine the first 4 levels on this iceberg, and provide context for each and every entry. This will take a while, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the ultimate Mortal Kombat iceberg. Level 1. Level 1 features very basic knowledge of the Mortal Kombat series, but there are definitely some fun topics to investigate. This level's visual representation is MK2 Reptile, Techno Syndrome. Techno Syndrome is the iconic Mortal Kombat theme song. I can't play it here out of fear of a copyright strike, but anyone familiar with this series knows this track. It was performed by a group of Belgian electronic musicians known as the Immortals. Techno Syndrome first appeared on the original Mortal Kombat game's soundtrack, and several times in the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie. This song is legendary, and is absolutely synonymous with the series. Secret Fights. Secret Fights references the many hidden characters you could fight throughout the series, such as Reptile in the original Mortal Kombat, Noob, Saibot, Smoke, and Jade in Mortal Kombat 2, Robo Smoke and Noob Saibot in MK3, Chameleon in Trilogy, and there's a bunch more. These fights made Mortal Kombat unique because arcade goers would spend their money trying to figure out how and where to find these characters. These mysterious fighters would often appear before a battle, and give hints about how you could fight them. And they even later resurfaced in MK9 as a tribute to the OG days. Secret Fights also added a layer of mystery around characters such as Ermac and Rain, who were heavily implied to exist in-game as characters you could battle. Noob Saibot Backwards. Noob Saibot Backwards centers around the origin of Noob Saibot's name. Series co-creators Ed Boon and John Tobias each took their last name, reversed it, and thus, Noob Saibot was born. He's become a fan-favorite character with an intricate backstory. He was the original Sub-Zero from the first game, but died at the hands of Scorpion, and was reborn as Noob Saibot. Ermac. Ermac is a character many arcade players believed was a second hidden fighter in the original Mortal Kombat game. This legend originated from a menu within the game, which directly referenced Reptile. Underneath Reptile, players saw the name Ermac and believed this character existed in the game. However, Ed Boon later confirmed that this referenced a programming term, error macro, Ermac for short. MK2 referenced Ermac again before he became an official playable character in UMK3. He ultimately became a warrior comprised of the souls of Shao Kahn's fallen enemies. Here's an excerpt of a post by Ed Boon, who explained the origin of Ermac. 30 plus years ago, we were working on the very first Mortal Kombat game. The game's software had sections of code that it theoretically should never reach/execute. If it did, it incremented a counter that would log the error. We also made a game audit screen where we could check this counter in arcades. To keep each log short, I wrote an assembler macro that would call all the necessary functions in one line of code. The macro was called Ermac, short for error macro. Unfortunately or fortunately, we listed the number of Ermacs that occurred directly after the log/number of times players fought against Reptile, who was a hidden fighter in the first Mortal Kombat. This of course made players speculate that Ermac was another hidden character like Reptile. Soon rumors of Ermac became stuff of legend, with players insisting they fought against him. They didn't. In Mortal Kombat 2, we made Reptile a playable fighter and added 3 new hidden fighters, Smoke, Jade, and Noob Saibot, but players were still looking for Ermac. For MK3, we decided to turn some of the myths into reality, starting with animalities. Finally, in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, running out of colors, we finally added Ermac as an actual Red Ninja fighter in the roster. Over the years, he has made a number of appearances in MK games. Now, he has a full story/history and is part of the MK lore. Blood Code. The Blood Code references a button combination console players could execute to enable or disable blood. This exists because the Entertainment Software Association deemed Mortal Kombat too violent, which led to the creation of the ESRB system. When the original Mortal Kombat arrived on Sega Genesis, blood was turned off by default, but entering the Blood Code ABACABB would turn it on.
Get over here!
It's worth noting that this was specific to the Sega Genesis version, whereas Nintendo had blood completely removed from the game, and it was even referenced in Family Guy, which is a true seal of approval.
What's the Mortal Kombat blood code? I keep forgetting.
It's ABACABB, but you can't do this now. You're ruining my wedding.
MK Special Forces. Mortal Kombat Special Forces is perhaps the worst game in the series' 30-plus year history. It launched as a standalone title in 2000, with series co-creator John Tobias hoping it would begin a long line of standalone spin-off games. However, Tobias left midway while the game was still in production, and Ed Boon did not work on it whatsoever. Ultimately, it was too much of a departure from what we've come to expect, and it was panned by critics, with many believing it to be one of, if not the, worst games of all time. That's definitely a harsh assessment, but we did get Tremor out of it, so that's cool at least. Little did we know, a worse game would come out just 1 year later. Guest characters. Guest characters are characters from outside the MK universe that appear playable in the games. This began with Kratos from the God of War franchise in MK9, who is a PlayStation exclusive character. This trend continued with Freddy Krueger, also in MK9, and it would become a regular occurrence in the NRS era. MKX had Leatherface, Jason Voorhees, the Xenomorph, and the Predator. MK11 had the Joker, Rambo, the Terminator, RoboCop, and everyone's favorite, Spawn. As of making this video, MK1 has Omni-Man, Peacemaker, Homelander, and presumably more down the line. Some like this concept, but others hate it, so it's become a topic of discussion in modern-day Mortal Kombat. Toasty! Toasty is the iconic phrase uttered by Mortal Kombat sound design specialist Dan Forden. You could hear it multiple times throughout the series, usually when someone executes an uppercut.
Come here! Toasty!
Different variations of this saying, including Frosty, Crispy, and Toasty 3D were featured in the series.
Scorpion wins. Fatality.
MK9 brought Dan Forden back to say his iconic line. This also featured a Toasty boost, which was a mechanic put in the game where, if done correctly, you could fill up your entire X-ray meter by pressing a specific button combination. The origin of Toasty is quite interesting, and here's Dan Forden with an explanation.
Well, Toasty is, it wasn't, believe it or not, it wasn't my idea, but I totally went along with it. I think it's hilarious. It's one of those taunts that I used to taunt Ed when we were playing Super High Impact. You know, when the two football sides are coming to the line of scrimmage, I'd say, "Hi, I predict toast." Like, you're toast, right? And somehow that turned into, "I predict Toasty," and then it just became Toasty. And then someone else in the studio suggested, "You should put some of that weird stuff you say into the games." And we're like, "Nah, it's a bad idea." And we're like, maybe we'll do it. So Ed came up with, like, "Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put your face in the game, and it's gonna say Toasty." I'm like, "Okay." And so that's basically how it started.
MK Mythologies. Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero is the first spin-off in the game's history, telling the story of the Sub-Zero we see in the original game. It's a prequel that explains the origins of Quan Chi, Shinnok, and some other characters. It briefly touches on the rivalry between Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
You have retained your mortality, which would mean you are vulnerable to death. I am Scorpion. You killed me in cold blood.
I had no choice.
You could have let me live.
Then I would be the dead one.
But my clan and family would still be alive.
What?
It wasn't enough to kill me. You had to destroy every last remnant of my being, including my wife and child.
You're mistaken.
and it also shows how Bi-Han ended up competing in the tournament depicted in the original game.
Bathe the Lin Kuei.
Welcome back, my warrior. I have a new undertaking for you. It seems your exploits have caught the eye of another sorcerer. I would like you to meet the retainer of your services. His name is Shang Tsung, and he would like you to compete in a small tournament. It's called Mortal Kombat.
I understood that reference.
Upon release, many longtime MK fans disliked Mythologies because of its difficulty and janky controls. The game is more admired nowadays from a lore perspective, and it's definitely not as hated as Special Forces.
The amulet! I have Shimek's amulet!
Whose amulet?
MK 1995. MK 1995 references the first live-action Mortal Kombat film put to the silver screen. It starred Robin Shou as Liu Kang, Christopher Lambert as Raiden, Talisa Soto as Kitana, Bridget Wilson as Sonya Blade, Lyndon Ashby as Johnny Cage, Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa as Shang Tsung, and Chris Casamassa as Scorpion. It was widely recognized as the best video game to movie adaptation until recently, and many still look fondly back on it. It even gave us some series staples, such as Shang Tsung's
Your soul is mine.
and the lore that winning 10 consecutive Mortal Kombat tournaments gives you control of the realms. I can't forget the brilliant portrayal of Kano by the late Trevor Goddard.
Hello, baby. Did you miss me?
He played the role brilliantly, and despite having a Cockney accent, people thought it was an Australian accent, and that explains why Kano is Australian in all the games nowadays.
Want to test Australia's best blood sausage?
I'd rather taste your blood, Kano.
Would you settle for me sausage?
MK 1995 seriously is such a fun film, and I would recommend it to anybody who is even remotely interested in the series. MK Legacy. Mortal Kombat Legacy is a modern-day rendition of the Mortal Kombat franchise that delves into the character backstories in a realistic manner. This began with Kevin Tancherone's MK Rebirth in 2010, which paved the way for 2 seasons of Legacy. Tancherone was supposed to helm the franchise and direct a live-action film, but ultimately backed out, which gave way for the MK 2021 we all know now. The show is actually pretty decent and worth rewatching. It gave us Michael Jai White as Jax and brought back Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa as Shang Tsung once again, and featured some pretty decent fight sequences. MK Shaolin Monks. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks is a franchise spin-off beat-em-up game centered around the Shaolin Monks, Liu Kang, and Kung Lao. Although it's not considered canon, it takes place between the conclusion of the original Mortal Kombat game and Mortal Kombat 2. It features many prominent characters from the series, including Ermac, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Jax, and more. You could unlock Scorpion and Sub-Zero using cheats, but nothing changed other than the character models. This game also gives us a closer look at the Fire character from the Pit 2 background, who would eventually become the boss character, Blaze. Many feel that this is the best Mortal Kombat spin-off and is definitely worth a remake or a sequel, although it's unclear if that'll ever happen. Ash in MK11. Ash in MK11 refers to Mortal Kombat 11's attempt to get Ash Williams from the Evil Dead franchise as a guest character. It was teased and all but confirmed that he would appear in Combat Pack 1. Unfortunately, a licensing issue prevented Ash from joining the MK roster, instead being replaced by the Joker. Ash Williams' actor Bruce Campbell has since stated that Ash will likely never appear in Mortal Kombat. Sad times. Meat. Meat is a character that first appeared in Mortal Kombat 4. However, rather than being a typical selectable character, Meat was the result of a character who had a fatality performed on them. It basically strips the character just to skin and bones. Prior to MK4's release, Ed Boon decided to include Meat in the game as an Easter egg. You could only play as him by defeating 15 opponents in the group mode. Then, any character you would select would look like this. Although the name Meat didn't appear in the game, he eventually became a playable character in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, with his backstory explaining that he is a failed experiment that escaped from Shang Tsung's flesh pits. There's a small collection of fans that want Meat back, And if you're one of them, let me know in the comments section. MK 2021. MK 2021 refers to the latest live-action Mortal Kombat film to be released as of publishing this video. A sequel is currently in the works, but the 2021 movie received a mixed reception from fans. Many fans praised Hiroyuki Sanada, Joe Taslim, and Josh Lawson in their roles as Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Kano. However, the plot was questionable mainly because of the Arcana aspect and the lack of an actual tournament. Plus, the lead character was absolutely despised by the vast majority of fans. The sequel is due to be released in October 2025, and based on the casting list, it should be interesting if nothing else. Konquest Mode. Konquest Mode is a single-player game mode that debuted in Deadly Alliance. It reappeared again in Deception and Armageddon, and is arguably the most beloved single-player mode in Mortal Kombat history. Deception has perhaps the best Konquest Mode, where the main character, Shujinko, travels to different realms, learning fighting techniques from well-known fighters and assembling the Kamidogu. Various Mortal Kombat characters appear in this game mode, offering side quests, and you can even unlock items. One such unlockable in Konquest Mode is Zombie Liu Kang, but you had to be at a specific location at a specific time to do this. Beating Konquest Mode in Deadly Alliance would unlock Blaze and Mocap. The Konquest Mode in Armageddon follows the main character Taven on his side quest to defeat Blaze, where you encounter several MK characters again, including this hilarious exchange with Goro.
Enjoying the view.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
At ease, Shokan. I am looking for Quan Chi. Have you seen him?
He is with the Emperor. I am Goro. I have been ordered to let no one pass under penalty of death.
My death? Or yours?
Many fans have been asking for NRS to bring Konquest back since it hasn't appeared since the 3D era, but that has not happened. Is Konquest Mode something you want back in Mortal Kombat? Let me know in the comments. MK11 Radio Silence. MK11 Radio Silence refers to a period during Mortal Kombat 11 when the developers gave no insight into the game's future development. Fans had been waiting for a Combat Pack 3 announcement, but after months of inactivity, NetherRealm Studios ultimately confirmed on July 2nd, 2021 that no further content would be created for MK11. This was a punch to the gut for players who wanted Cyrax, Sector, Ermac, Reptile, and others in the game, but that ultimately never happened. Chrome. Chrome is a Chrome version of a Smoke action figure that players desperately want to be an official character in the games. This picture has made its rounds on social media, depicting Ninja Smoke with a Chrome costume and Chrome-colored arm wraps. Since this mistake was made by a toy manufacturer, players have obliterated Ed Boon's DMs and mentions with requests for Chrome, but he has continuously shot them down. He even DM'd a die-hard Chrome fan and politely asked him to stop recommending the character. The toy company behind this mistake clarified the history of Chrome in a Facebook post, which I'll read right now. Back in January 2014, we started to receive factory samples of our quarter-scale Mortal Kombat Classic Ninja statues, and apparently someone in China used metallic silver paint for Smoke instead of the correct gray from the game sprites. They also painted the eyes blue, not brown, but nobody ever notices that. We told them about the mistakes, a corrected replacement was started, and the error piece got put on a shelf. These things happen. Cut to Cousin Sean, who was working with us in Chatsworth at the time, walking in and seeing it. Cousin Sean had recently been assigned to the PCS social media accounts, and he was looking for cool behind-the-scenes stuff to share with our followers. "What's up with that T-1000 ninja?" he asked. "And can I take some pictures of him in the photo room?" Again, no one thought anything of it. It was just a fun Pantone error. Sure, go ahead. Before Cousin Sean posted anything, he nicknamed him Chrome for the photos attached below, because what else would you call him? And thus, the legend began. To this day, Ed Boon has shown no interest in putting Chrome in the game, despite everyone feeling that maybe he could be a cool ninja with T-1000-like powers.
Chrome is not in the game.
Oh, this is okay. This is official. We're breaking hearts here, Ed.
Yeah,
you're breaking hearts.
Exclusive right here.
I love
Chrome
that.
Is not in the game.
You can find a supposed subtle reference to Chrome in the MK11 crypt, although this may just be a nod to Smoke. If you are interested in playing as Chrome, I'd recommend checking out one of the various Mugen games where he's playable. Retcons. Mortal Kombat is no stranger to retroactive continuity. otherwise known as a retcon. This is basically when the game establishes a specific plot point before nullifying it later or changing it with a different plot point. Some of the most well-known ones are as follows. Raiden's entire role was retconned in MK2, turning him from a bad guy into the leader of Earthrealm. Johnny Cage dying in MK3 only to be resurrected in MK4. MK9 retconned Melina's story, where rather than being around for much of Kitana's life, Kitana discovered her during the second tournament, erasing any prior history between the two. Sindel went from being a normal human who was resurrected and made evil in the original timeline to just being straight up evil for no reason in MK11. Scarlet went from being a character born from the blood of Shao Kahn's enemies in MK9 to an orphan who Shao Kahn taught blood magic in MK11. MK11 also introduced the idea of Titans, who are apparently more powerful than Elder Gods, despite not existing until this game. There's also a Cabal retcon in there, a weird situation where Nightwolf was a Revenant in MKX and then somehow ended up trapped in the Void in MK11 Aftermath. And there's just seriously so many in this series that it would take a whole entire video for me to explain them. But since we're on the subject, let me know your favorite and least favorite retcon in the Mortal Kombat series. Quitalities. Quitalities debuted in MKX as an embarrassment for those who would quit an online match. In MKX, the quitter's head would explode. In MK11, the quitter is either impaled or explodes. And finally in MK1, the quitter's neck snaps or they explode. It's pretty funny and a suitable punishment for the crime.
Fight.
Creation was a mistake.
Quitality.
Level 2. Things will get a bit more obscure in this level, but most casual Mortal Kombat fans should still know these. The visual representation for this level is Reptile without a mask in his MK2 ending. Malibu Comics. Malibu Comics refers to the team behind the non-canon Mortal Kombat comic book series. These comic books were released between the first and second Mortal Kombat games, featuring every character included in those games. The Malibu Comics series also featured some new fighters that were created specifically to kill off, since the writers were prohibited from killing any canonical characters. The comics subtly influenced the mainline series as well, depicting Kano and Scorpion working for Outworld, and Raiden not participating in the Mortal Kombat tournament. One such character introduced in the comics was Hydro, a water-based ninja that many theorize influenced Rain. Despite fans campaigning to have Hydro included in the games, it hasn't happened, although MK11 does reference him in the Towers of Time. Goro's father, King Gorbak, also appears in the Malibu Mortal Kombat series, who would later appear and die in the MKX comics. It also features some other storylines that would later be adapted in the game, such as Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade having a relationship. I haven't read the comics, but by all accounts, it's not the greatest piece of Mortal Kombat material out there. Although I do have a video dedicated to Hydro on my channel, so feel free to check that out if you have a chance. MK Conquest. Mortal Kombat Conquest is a TV series that lasted 1 season and 22 episodes from 1998 to 1999. Threshold Entertainment and New Line Cinema, who produced the 1995 Mortal Kombat film, also produced Conquest, but it's not remembered as fondly as the movie. It serves as a prequel to the games, centering around the Great Kung Lao following his defeat of Shang Tsung, which resulted in the Outworld Emperor Shao Kahn imprisoning the sorcerer in Cobalt Mines. Conquest features a mixture of original characters such as Zero and Taja, and Mortal Kombat mainstays such as Raiden, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Reptile, and even Reiko. This show laid the groundwork for the Deadly Alliance, but the series ended on a cliffhanger after TNT canceled it. Honestly, I know that this show doesn't have the best reputation, but it's actually a pretty fun watch, and the fights alone are definitely worth your time. Defenders of the Realm. Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm is an animated TV series that ran for 1 season and 13 episodes in 1996. According to Wikipedia, it serves as a combination of an alternative sequel to the '95 film and the events of UMK3. It features animated versions of all your favorite characters, including Raiden, Sonya, Jax, Sub-Zero, who is voiced by Luke Perry, Curtis Stryker, voiced by the great Ron Perlman, Nightwolf, and Liu Kang. Weirdly enough, it also marks the first appearance of Quan Chi. I remember loving the show as a kid and thinking it was cool to see Scorpion, Cyrax, Smoke, and many others as cartoon characters. After rewatching a few scenes, however, I realized that it is pretty bad, and it includes an unhealthy dose of one-liners.
Gotcha! Rest in peace. Or should I say, pieces.
Since it was rated TV Y7, there was no blood and minimal violence. It was cancelled after one season and also ended on a cliffhanger.
Raiden is right. We have failed, Princess.
For now. But one day, Outworld will return to Edenia.
I'm sorry that it didn't work out for you, Kitana. But I'm relieved I won't be losing you.
You will never lose me.
It's not great, but it is worth a few laughs.
She kinda bad though.
This one references a legendary clip by YouTuber Burleezy, who mistakenly thought a character's backside was Frost. Here's the clip.
Oh, he said, who the f do that at me? Who did it? Raiden, show me. Raiden, show me who did it. She kinda bad though. Is that Frost?
Double Ice Backfire. Double Ice Backfire is a reference specific to the original Mortal Kombat game. If you froze an opponent using Sub-Zero and then tried to freeze them again, it would freeze you instead, resulting in a Double Ice Backfire. The Double Ice Backfire remained in subsequent Mortal Kombat games. Although the text would no longer appear, Sub-Zero would still freeze himself after throwing ice balls in rapid succession. The Journey Begins. Mortal Kombat The Journey Begins is a 1995 animated film, which served as a prequel to the incredible Mortal Kombat live-action film. It centers around Johnny Cage, Liu Kang, and Sonya Blade. Raiden assumes the storyteller role, explaining the origin of characters like Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Shang Tsung, Goro, and even the Great Kung Lao. Although I remember it fondly from my childhood, it is pretty bad overall. The animation has not aged well. And although I remember really enjoying it as a kid because it was cool to see animated versions of these characters, it's just not great. Impale Move. Impale Move refers to a move in Deadly Alliance where certain characters could use their weapons to impale their opponent. Here's how it worked with Sub-Zero. After impaling the opponent, the weapon would remain in them until the end of the round while slowly draining their health. The Impale move was absent from Deception but returned presumably by mistake in Armageddon only for Sub-Zero and Mileena. Executing the Impale in Armageddon is somewhat complicated, but it is possible. I was able to figure it out with Sub-Zero, but couldn't get it to work with Mileena. This move has yet to appear in another game since. MK4 Skins. This entry is vague, but I'm pretty sure it refers to the alternate Mortal Kombat 4 costumes, nowadays known as skins, which were a new addition to MK4. Almost every character in this game had an alternate costume, and characters like Sub-Zero and Noob Saibot had 2 alternate costumes. You could select the alternate costumes by holding Start over your desired character and pressing any button to rotate the character's portrait. The number of times you rotated a portrait indicated which costume you ended up with. Of all the MK4 alternates, Reptiles is my favorite, but Scorpion and Sub-Zero are close behind. If that's not what this entry is referring to, it could be addressing the fact that MK4 skins are few and far between in recent games, with the exception of Quan Chi and MKX. PTSD Stories. PTSD Stories refers to NetherRealm Studios employees reportedly suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder while working on Mortal Kombat 11. An article published by Kotaku alleged that an unnamed NRS employee was subjected to watching graphic videos of people dying. This allegedly resulted in the employee suffering from PTSD and finding it difficult to live a normal life. NRS never commented on these allegations, and the article was published just 1 month after MK11 launched. We will likely never know the extent of what NRS allegedly subjects their employees to in order to bring these gruesome fatalities to life. However, At the very least, it seems reasonable that NetherRealm would want additional research done to make the gore seem at least relatively accurate. Either way, there was never any follow-up to the initial PTSD article, so it's hard to say whether or not it's true. Have a nice day. Have a nice day refers to several non-canonical Mortal Kombat endings that conclude with the line, have a nice day. Shout out Mick Foley. The two examples that come to mind are Raiden's ending in the original Mortal Kombat, where he wins the tournament and it results in a battle between gods before the universe just ends. Shang Tsung's ending in MK2 also pays homage to the Have a Nice Day line, where if he wins, he takes over Earthrealm with demon soldiers and plunges Earth into eternal darkness. 26 years after the last Have a Nice Day reference, Shang Tsung's MK11 ending features a fun callback to the Have a Nice Day line.
In my new era, morality will be exposed as the illusion it is. The cunning will prosper, while the good suffer. This is the word of Shang Tsung. Have a nice day.
Combat Pack 3. Combat Pack 3 refers to the rumored third combat pack for MK11 that unfortunately never happened. Reports indicated that the DLC would have featured Ermac, Takeda, and Harley Quinn. Sadly, Warner Bros. And NRS ended support for MK11 in July 2021 before KP3 could get off the ground. It's a shame because we never got Ermac in this iconic costume. Hornbuckle and Torch. Hornbuckle and Torch are the two characters depicted in the background of the Pit 2 stage in Mortal Kombat 2. These two characters were mysterious, with some believing they could be unlocked. Players back in the 90s respectively called these two Hornbuckle and Torch. The name Hornbuckle is derived from one of Jade's hints when she would appear before matches, which questioned, Hornbuckle who? This was ultimately proven to be a reference to Leanne Hornbuckle, who received special credit in the Super Nintendo version of MK2. Torch got his name because he was covered in fire. Midway would expand on these characters in later games. While Hornbuckle never received a proper name, Torch became Blaze, who debuted as a secret character in Deadly Alliance. His bio in this game references the background scene of the Pit 2, and it was later confirmed that Blaze was the creation of Dagon and Taven's mother. On his assigned quest, Blaze encountered two holy men, one presumably being Hornbuckle, on the Pit 2 bridge. They ultimately captured and enslaved him, forcing him to be the protector of Onaga's egg, and later was the main antagonist in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. The character formerly known as Torch has been seen many times throughout the series, but Hornbuckle, not so much. Onaga's Deception ending. Despite not being a playable character in Mortal Kombat Deception, the game's primary antagonist, Onaga, did have his own ending. It's rumored that he was initially supposed to be playable, but this was scrapped before release. Here's a look at the ending.
My enemies have failed to prevent me from fusing all the weapons of the Elder Gods into one. I used this ultimate weapon to warp reality, merging the realms into a singular existence. The Elder Gods were helpless as I used their own power against them in the void beyond the One Realm. Not satisfied with merely ruling the One Realm, I seized all that exists and merged it into myself. There can be only one consciousness. I am everything. I have become the One Being.
Woman in Jade's MK9 ending. The Woman in Jade's MK9 ending was the subject of much discussion back in 2011 through Mortal Kombat 11. She appeared shimmering and nameless, and it was revealed that she had been watching the game's events as they unfolded.
Shao Kahn was defeated, but the intense battle rendered Jade unconscious. She slipped into a dreamlike state and found herself walking in an unknown realm. As she explored, her surroundings shifted and changed. Jade approached a lone figure who stood in the distance, a shimmering woman. She did not reveal her name, but spoke with an air of regal authority. Through the minds of countless mortals, the woman had been watching events as they unfolded over the centuries. She informed Jade that Shao Kahn's death was an outcome that must be reimagined. Jade was defenseless as the woman possessed her body and emerged in the waking world.
Many fans saw this as an opportunity to do something great. Could this potentially be Kronika? Not so much. She ended up just being Jade's mother, as confirmed by one of the Mortal Kombat 11 writers. Descendant of Apep. The Descendant of Apep is the character you control in the MK11 crypt. His ancestor, Apep, is Shujinko's guide in the Mortal Kombat Deception Konquest Mode. The Descendant of Apep's fate is revealed in the Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath storyline, shown to be obliterated by a trap in the Shaolin dungeon.
These traps are excellent. Who knew the Shaolin was so diabolical?
Pour one out for this hero who gave us hours of gameplay, unlockables, and references in the crypt. Mortal Kombat Onslaught. Mortal Kombat Onslaught is an RPG mobile game which allows you to build a roster of fighters and battle other players. You can assemble a team of 10 fighters, including favorites like Raiden, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and more. The story centers around a quest to stop Shinnok, progressing through chapters with each featuring a well-known figure in the Mortal Kombat series. Let me know in the comments if you play this game and if it's worth checking out. MK Mystification. Mortal Kombat Mystification is the name given to Mortal Kombat Deception, specifically in France. According to this 2004 article published by IGN, this occurred as a result of translation issues, because Deception translates to disappointment in French. This was a good idea, because Mortal Kombat Disappointment was the nickname I gave to Special Forces. Snowblind Timeline. This refers to the animated film Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind, which occurs decades after the previous animated movie, Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms, which depicted Liu Kang defeating Shao Kahn in the tournament. Kano is the primary antagonist in this film, who apparently survived Jax stomping his head in Scorpion's revenge. He conquered cities alongside the Black Dragon clan, and this film also features Kenshi, who loses his sight thanks to Shang Tsung. The ending reveals that Kano defeated Kronika, took control of the Hourglass, and created this separate timeline.
Confused, eh? Well, to be honest, I was too the first time I saw it. It's called Kronika's Hourglass. And with it, I can rewrite time and history.
The Snowblind Timeline has been confirmed canon based on this line of dialogue in the MK1 storyline.
The battle for Kronika's Hourglass ripped apart time's fabric. Where there once was one timeline, there are now many. Each new timeline represents a different possible outcome of that battle. In mine, I became Time's Keeper. In yours, it was you. In others, it could be Jade, Sindel, even Kano.
And this exchange in the Kenshi mirror match.
Whose Keeper of Time were you from? Until recently, it was Kano.
Reptile's Devolution. Reptile's Devolution refers to Reptile's steady transition from a human ninja with reptilian traits to a full-blown lizard. Reptile looked like a simple palette swap of Sub-Zero and Scorpion up until MK4.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
However, you could catch subtle yet noticeable references to his true Saurian species in his moves and fatalities. In MK4, the developers stripped Reptile of any ninja qualities, making him a lizard instead. Although there was no explanation from the get-go, MK Deadly Alliance reveals that separation from other members of his race led to expedited devolution. He could no longer use a mask to disguise his true self. It's further expanded upon in an unlockable photo that Reptile's changing physical and mental state may be linked to his prolonged separation from his people. The longer he remains away from the matriarch, the more he regresses to a more primal state. In later games, Reptile's default appearance maintained a hybrid of ninja and lizard features, but most fans feel his MK4 and Deadly Alliance looks were some of the worst. Air combos. Air combos first appeared in Mortal Kombat Armageddon as a new addition to the combo system. In aerial combat, you could pop your opponent up and continue the combo while airborne. This concept was extremely busted, and it even led to Infinites, which broke the game wide open. As many of you know, air combos returned in MK1 and are important, but much less broken this time. Welcome to Level 3, the first portion of the middle of the iceberg. The visual representation for this level is MK4 Reptile. The Screw. The Screw is an unused track that was slated to appear in Mortal Kombat 4 in the unused Giant Skull stage. This arena was specific to the N64 version and featured the Living Forest music instead. You can catch this song in the Mortal Kombat Project Mugen during the final fight with Shao Kahn.
You suck. Round 1, fight.
And an NFL Blitz for the arcade. And Mortal Kombat Conquest. Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer is a song that was supposed to be used in the final boss battle with Onaga in Mortal Kombat Deception. It ultimately didn't make the cut, as the developers allegedly said that it didn't fit the fight, but you could still find it on YouTube. Koffin FU. This refers to the Koffin unlockable system in the Deadly Alliance crypt. If you navigate to the Koffin FU and spend the currency to open it, it's empty. The ultimate troll. Nimbus Terrafaux. Nimbus Terrafaux is a character that was rumored to be in the original Mortal Kombat game. This character was referenced several times by Electronic Gaming Monthly, an old gaming magazine. One passage I found alleges that the kickboxer can be found in the Sega Genesis version, and that you have to input a code when Reptile appears and says "Look to La Luna." In a follow-up from another EGM issue, the magazine credited Tom Grace of Wernersville, Pennsylvania, who supposedly found the character. It says you had to input this incredibly elaborate code while Reptile is on screen saying "Look to La Luna." The game will then restart and Nimbus will be playable. Later on in this bizarre story, it was revealed that Electronic Gaming Monthly manufactured this fake character as an April Fool's joke. Belloc. Belloc is a character that the developers plan to add to Mortal Kombat Gold. According to Ed Boon, the team behind MK Gold didn't have enough time to finish Belloc, so he was scrapped entirely. However, Eurocom leaked screenshots of the character to a magazine, and you can see those here. Based on the pictures available, Belloc would have been a demonic character with a similar stature and movement style to Goro. It is currently theorized that Eurocom, who handled the publishing for Mortal Kombat Gold, retains rights to the character, and therefore it may never see the light of day. But you can still play as Belloc in various Mortal Kombat Mugen games. MK Fire and Ice. MK Fire and Ice refers to the sequel to Shaolin Monks that never saw the light of day. As the title indicates, the game would have revolved around Scorpion and Sub-Zero, featuring similar gameplay to the first Shaolin Monks game. In an article published by Game Informer, Ed Boon revealed that Fire and Ice was in the early stages of development before it was scrapped due to time and budget constraints. MK fans have been campaigning for a sequel for the last 20 years. Ed Boon has regularly mentioned it in various social media posts, even recently clarifying that the sequel would absolutely have Scorpion and Sub-Zero as the main characters. Will it ever happen? Who knows? But since Ed Boon keeps bringing it up, there's always a possibility. MK Ultra Girls. MK Ultra Girls was a rumored animated Mortal Kombat Kids series that was in development at Warner Brothers. This news came to light via a Reddit thread from someone who allegedly worked on the show. The unknown individual provided in-depth details about MK Ultra Girls while including the hashtag #ReleaseMortalKombatUG. It would have featured Cassie Cage in the lead role with an animation style similar to Teen Titans. There are theories that this MK Ultra Girls show was a hoax, but no official word from Warner Brothers executives or anyone at NRS has ever come to light. Although it's an ambiguous concept, the characters set to appear in the show included Frost, Jackie Briggs, Melina, Takeda, and more. Rain would have been the antagonist, and Kano and Raiden, weirdly enough, were going to be teachers. Considering the title, it's fair to question the legitimacy of the show, but the leaks certainly made it seem genuine. Anyway, here are some rumored screenshots from this alleged scrapped kids Mortal Kombat show. MK11 Secret Fight. This refers to a supposed secret fight discovered by famed Mortal Kombat data miner, the Thinny. The fight would have occurred against Reptile and/or Noob Saibot, the former of which wasn't even playable in the game. NetherRealm employees have said there are additional secrets that have not been uncovered in MK11, and this secret fight is presumably one of them. I found threads on Reddit and other social media platforms but couldn't find proof that anyone figured out how to trigger this fight. After much research, I confirmed with the Thinny that the secret fight remains undiscovered. Today, This entry refers to a hilarious audio glitch that would occur before the final battle with Shao Kahn in the MK9 story mode. The Emperor's dialogue would skip while delivering the line, "Today I become the Elder God."
Today, I become the Elder God. Today,
Monster. The Mortal Kombat series features many characters one could consider a monster. However, I believe this entry refers to a minor character in Mortal Kombat Deception. Voiced by Ed Boon, Monster appeared in Conquest Mode inside the Nexus.
Stop where you are, intruder. I am the Elder God's chosen warrior. I have been sent to protect the Nexus from trespassers. Your presence has defiled this sacred place. Leave now, or face my wrath.
You are mistaken. I am the Elder God's champion. Stand down.
You leave me no choice. Prepare to be destroyed.
He utilizes Scorpion's moveset and in-game model, while proclaiming himself to be the champion of the Elder Gods. Damashi later refers to Monster as a fighter with great strength.
Shujigo, I see you are safe.
Yes, Damashi, I am unharmed. Who was that warrior in the Nexus?
I am not entirely sure. I could sense that he was quite powerful, but I did not recognize him.
He referred to himself as the Elder God's chosen warrior. Does he think he is their champion?
If he thinks this, then he is mistaken. As I have said before, you are their champion.
My research indicated Monster sports an alternate skin for Scorpion that was ultimately scrapped from the game. However, his position in the MK universe remains unknown, although you can play as Monster by using Action Replay. MKX for PS3 and Xbox 360. This refers to plans for Mortal Kombat X to have a PS3 and Xbox 360 port before it was cancelled. You can find box art for MKX on these consoles, and some people were even able to process pre-orders that were never fulfilled. The port was ultimately shelved due to the slow phasing out of this generation and the difficulties getting MKX to work properly on these older consoles. MK Advance. MK Advance is perhaps the worst Mortal Kombat game ever. No hyperbole. It was an Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 Game Boy Advance port released on December 12th, 2001. 6 years after UMK3 landed on other consoles. Mortal Kombat Advance was universally panned for poor controls, impossible AI, and horrendous graphics. I've played it and can confidently say it's not fun. You could play a game like Special Forces ironically to poke fun at it, but Mortal Kombat Advance is just unenjoyable. Game Boy MK4. In a similar vein, Mortal Kombat 4 for Game Boy Color also exists, and it's arguably at the same level, if not worse. Developing studio Digital Eclipse took a 3D fighting game and ported it to a very limited handheld console, so it should come as no surprise that the end result was rough. It's in 2D instead of 3D, features 9 selectable characters, no combo system, no weapons, and a repetitive, annoying soundtrack. Overall, like Mortal Kombat Advance, it's a painful game to endure, putting it in a similar category. Smoke's MK Deception ending. Smoke and Noob Saibot famously joined forces for Mortal Kombat Deception, albeit this was done against Smoke's will. Noob Smoke has their own ending, but an unreleased solo ending for Smoke also exists. It depicts Smoke's nanotechnology fighting the evil bestowed upon him by Noob Saibot, and eventually breaking free of the curse. Here's the ending via YouTuber Brusque Poet.
Smoke had been reprogrammed to serve Noob Saibot, who had brought him to the Netherrealm. Noob believed that Smoke had no soul. Smoke still had a small amount of good left in him, however, which made his presence in Hell incapacitating. Smoke was immobilized by the input his sensors translated as pain. To protect Smoke from harm, his nanotech systems worked furiously to counter the evil forces that were unleashed upon his body. When they were finally brought into balance, Smoke became much more than a mere cyborg ninja.
Fergality. Fergality is a hidden Easter egg finisher in Mortal Kombat 2. You could perform this finisher only on the Armory stage using Raiden on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive version of the game. To activate this, you had to open the options menu, highlight done, and then press left, down, left, right, down, right, left, right. A test modes menu will appear. Head to the third page and toggle the Ooh Nasty option on. Then, select Raiden and continue playing matches until you reach the Armory stage. Finally, defeat the opponent and input back, block from any distance, and this will happen. This refers to the late Fergus McGovern, who worked for Probe Software on some console versions of MK2. McGovern sadly passed away in 2016, but is forever immortalized as the infamous Fergality. Rellim Ohcanep. Rellim Ohcanep is a realm referenced in MK3, UMK3, and MK Trilogy. You could navigate to this realm by winning 100 consecutive matches, giving you access to this Galaga-type minigame. You could also get to this realm by entering a combat code or claiming one of Shao Kahn's treasures after beating the game. Once done successfully, you will see this screen telling you that you will be transported to another realm. Similarly, MK Trilogy on the N64 had a realm called Uruk Divad, I guess, and that brings you to the same minigame. Rellim Ohcanep are the names Miller and Panacho spelled backwards. This refers to Mark Panacho, Gary Panacho, and Kent Miller, who are members of the development team. Uruk Divad supposedly references someone named Carrie David, but I couldn't find out what relevance they have to this game. Young Shujinko skin. This entry refers to a supposed young Shujinko skin that was supposed to appear in Mortal Kombat Deception. Data miners found indicators of this skin's existence alongside some audio files related to this character. You can access and play as young Shujinko by using Action Replay, but this skin is not available in the unaltered retail version. This was likely left out considering young Shujinko's age in Deception. 50 Shades of Jade. Despite quite a bit of research on my end, I could not find anything regarding 50 Shades of Jade. Based on the name, it's probably something I can't show on YouTube anyway, so we move on. Gearus's Blue Blood. In early builds of MK11, Gearus had blue blood rather than the usual red blood. This was ultimately removed, and NRS never addressed why, but you can catch glimpses of blue bloodstains on Gearus at certain points. Collector's Gold Blood. Similar to Gearus, certain MK11 images have indicated that Collector would have had gold blood in the game. I found this one where his severed head clearly has gold blood beneath it, but this never made it to the final cut of Mortal Kombat 11. EJB Menu. The EJB menu is a hidden menu that exists in arcade versions of Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. The website called The Cutting Room Floor uncovered these secrets that remained hidden for 20 years, and Your MK Arcade source published a video accessing them. It's nothing crazy, but the options in the first few games include game audits, character endings, there's a spot where Ed Boon just says hello to people, and there's a method of entering your initials into the high score screen. The UMK3 EJB menu offered a few more options, including the ability to unlock Mileena, Ermac, and Classic Sub-Zero. You can also play the Galaga game Rellim Ohcanep, that I mentioned earlier using this menu. Cyber Reptile and Tremor. Cyber Reptile and Tremor are two characters that appeared in the MK9 and MK9 for PS Vita Challenge Towers, respectively. The former appears in Challenge 227, also known as Cyborg Absorbed. This marks the first time we've ever seen Reptile cyberized whatsoever, but in reality, it's just a base reptile with a skin on top. It's pretty cool to see, but it will probably never be fleshed out. On the other side, Tremor made his second appearance ever in the series in the Mortal Kombat 9 PS Vita Challenge Tower. You can find him in challenges 55, 100, and 148. You can play as him in the Challenge Tower, and he utilizes Jax's moveset. Level 4. Welcome to Level 4. This marks the halfway point on the iceberg and the final level of this video. The visual representation for this level is MKX Reptile. Sonic vs. Scorpion in chess. This refers to a clip called VG Unity that was meant to inspire people to vote. It features various video game and TV show characters interacting, but at 1 minute 17 seconds, you can catch a glimpse of Scorpion playing Sonic the Hedgehog in chess. Blue Portal. The blue portal is like the regular portal in Mortal Kombat 2, but blue. This stage was specific to the Sega Genesis version, and it's where you would fight the 3 hidden characters, Jade, Noob Saibot, and Smoke, rather than in Goro's lair like other versions. Star Bridge. The Star Bridge was a stage in Mortal Kombat Trilogy exclusive to the N64 version. It's a remake of the Pit 2, but with stars instead of clouds. This stage is where you can trigger the chameleon fight, but it would ultimately occur in the Living Forest. The Tempest. The Tempest is an event caused by the God of Chaos that led Chaos Realm to descend into Chaos, giving it the name Chaos Realm. As you can see on this map, the Tempest event effectively fractured the realm and threw it into disarray. It serves as a symbolic counter to Order Realm. Kahil Grigesh. Kahil Grigesh is a male vampire character from Vaeternus, the same place Natara originated. He was originally meant to be a counterpart to Natara in Deadly Alliance, but that never happened. He is mentioned in Natara's Armageddon bio, which explains he was corrupted by a vampire-killing sword known as Datusha. He overcame the blade's mind control and sacrificed himself using the sword in the Netherrealm to ensure it can no longer harm his race. I'm not sure if there's a strong Kahil Grigesh fanbase out there, but he hasn't been mentioned since. Floyd in MK11. Floyd is a pink palette swap ninja that Ed Boon has referenced many times over the last few years. The story goes like this. Back in 2022, a Twitter user asked Ed Boon if he had plans to create a new ninja. The Mortal Kombat co-creator explained his idea to make a pink ninja and name him Floyd, an ode to the band Pink Floyd. This draws from Rain being a purple ninja as in Prince's Purple Rain album. At some point, Boon hosted a Twitter Space session where he played various well-known songs. One such song, Mother by Pink Floyd. Based on Boon's track record, many took this as an indication that Floyd was coming to a Mortal Kombat game. This brings us to Mortal Kombat 11, specifically within the crypt. If you head to the pit bottom and hang out there for a while, masked ninjas will periodically fall and land on the spikes. Rip to the GOAT Ermac. There's a purple, blue, and even a chrome ninja. But look at this one. That's clearly a pink ninja. But is it Floyd? Well, we don't really know, but it feels like an homage at the very least. Fast forward to MK1 and September 2023 to be exact. Data miner The Thinny captured and shared code from MK1 that references Floyd. There's an in-game counter that tracks how many times you've defeated this mysterious Floyd character. Various female ninja characters that appeared during the Battle of Armageddon in this game utilize the moveset of a character named Floyd. So there's reason to believe Floyd could be an upcoming character or is in the game somewhere. Lastly, I wanted to mention a tweet I found in 2012 where Ed Boon fielded a question about a pink ninja named Floyd. This is the earliest indication I could find of this character. Game Boy Goro, playable. This entry refers to Goro being a playable character in the Game Boy version of the original Mortal Kombat. Although many of you remember getting bodied by him on your quest to become Mortal Kombat champion, Game Boy players could dish out a beating as Goro. You could play as the Shokan by beating the game. Good luck. Wait for the end, and then hold up, left, select, and A until the title screen appears. Then, you can control Goro with his Fireball, Stomp, and Invincibility. John Tobias's MK5. John Tobias's MK5 refers to a rumored script that the Mortal Kombat co-creator penned before leaving Midway. You see, Ed Boon and John Tobias helmed the Mortal Kombat franchise from the original game through MK4. However, Tobias left the studio during the production of Special Forces to pursue other creative ventures. At the time, Midway was in the early stages of development for MK5, the game we all know now as Deadly Alliance. I researched this subject and found this episode of Mortal Podcast, which featured John Tobias. Here's a summary of what John Tobias had in mind for MK5 before he left the project. His thought was to advance the story and move it into a new generation of fighters. Tobias wanted to create these fighters in the mold of their predecessors. He does mention that his idea was for Liu Kang to die inexplicably and that his son would take the reins in MK5. The characters familiar with Liu Kang would teach his son about Mortal Kombat and the events beforehand. Sub-Zero would have played a significant role, while Scorpion would have just been there as his undead self. I definitely recommend checking out this episode because it offers a lot of information about the early Mortal Kombat days. Aaron Black killed Abe Lincoln. This refers to a Reddit fan theory that centers around Aaron Black's MKX ending. The gunslinger earned immortality in exchange for assassinating an unknown Earthrealm warrior.
Nearly 150 years ago, Aaron Black had been hired by Shang Tsung to assassinate an Earthrealm warrior. In return, Shang had slowed Black's aging process.
Reddit user ET37 theorized that this warrior was none other than the 16th president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. The Redditor explained that Honest Abe was a successful wrestler, no doubt earning him the title of an Earthrealm warrior. Aaron Black traveled 150 years into the past to accomplish this task. Since MKX launched in April 2015, this would put Aaron Black in April 1865, where he did the deed and pinned it on John Wilkes Booth. Definitely a wild theory, but absolutely entertaining. Shang Tsung made Chameleon. I couldn't find much on this theory, but this MKX exchange in the Reptile Mirror match references Chameleon and Shang Tsung.
Chameleon. It is I, Shang Tsung. Show yourself, coward! To
expand on this a bit, some have said Chameleon is an extension of Shang Tsung's sorcery capabilities. The mysterious ninja can shapeshift like Shang Tsung, and there's a clear parallel drawn to this in MK11. Many of the sorcerer's moves, and even his fatal blow, revolve around the palette swap ninjas, and both Shang Tsung and Chameleon have the same pose in Armageddon. Although I will point out that a character who is presumably Chameleon falls to his death in the MK11 crypt. Make of that what you will. Super Unlockables. Back in 2004, there were rumors that Super Unlockables existed in Mortal Kombat Deception. It was alleged that you can unlock certain characters by completing ridiculously difficult tasks. One forum post I found said you can unlock all of these Super Unlockables by unlocking everything in the crypt, completing arcade mode with all characters, and hitting every NPC in Conquest Mode. The rumors ran wild on this one back in the day, but none of it has ever been substantiated. Although the origin is unclear, I've seen theories that Super Unlockables became an idea because Ed Boon teased that Deception featured more than 24 characters. So I guess Motaro, Fujin, and Kochel, who we'll cover later, weren't actually unlockable after all. Moloch's Herald. Moloch's Herald is the Oni monster's pet owl, who carries his mystical orb, otherwise known as that giant ball and chain that he uses as a weapon. This orb contains Moloch's essence, and when it drops, the monster emerges from the ground beneath. Based on his actual backstory, this concept was abandoned, but you can find concept art in Deadly Alliance depicting Moloch's Herald. Deadly Alliance Dairu. The character Dairu, who first appeared in Deception, was initially slated to be in Deadly Alliance. He ultimately didn't make the final roster, but you can find concept art of Dairu in Deadly Alliance. One description even teases Dairu's inclusion in the next game. MK Mythologies Gold 2000. This entry is actually wild and not something I knew anything about beforehand. Mortal Kombat Mythologies Gold 2000 is a bootleg version of the original MK Mythologies Sub-Zero. A huge difference is that Mythologies was released on consoles like PlayStation and N64, whereas Mythologies Gold 2000 launched on Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. It's quite faithful to the source material, but that means the negative aspects are still present. The game is incredibly difficult to navigate, there's a dedicated button to turn your character around, and you just die without any ability to stop it, falling into pits with no warning and dying to random traps.
You're mistaken.
The main character, of course, is Sub-Zero, and the level design is identical to Mythologies. In place of the generic henchman enemies you would find in Mythologies proper, you would instead encounter some familiar faces, including Mortal Kombat 2 Jax, Mortal Kombat 3 Kano, Mortal Kombat 3 Sonya, and Mortal Kombat 3 Liu Kang for whatever reason. It's also worth noting that the Sub-Zero in this game is the same sprite used in Mortal Kombat 2. I played it for about an hour and can say it's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. Although I will point out that you can die very easily, and there is almost zero context as to what's going on in the story. I mean, look at the main menu, and I'm not sure how you're supposed to even know the objective. Anyway, it's perhaps one of the most bizarre Mortal Kombat games I have ever seen. You can find copies of this game for both the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, with the latter being extremely rare. I found one eBay listing for an SNES copy of MK Mythologies Gold 2000, which was priced at $175. The two versions offer slight differences, as outlined by Tabmock99 in his brilliant video, but overall, it was pretty fun to play this platformer. Anime Scorpion. I'm assuming Anime Scorpion refers to the MK Legends films, one of which is called Scorpion's Revenge. He appears in 3 of the 4 animated MK Legends movies, voiced by Patrick Seitz. Scorpion's Revenge depicts the undead Spectre seeking revenge for the annihilation of his clan, so it's basically a retelling of Scorpion's original backstory. These films are solid, featuring great animation and some seriously brutal attacks and kills. I'd recommend checking them out. I found out later that Anime Scorpion actually refers to one of his alternate costumes in Deadly Alliance for the Game Boy Advance. You could unlock this costume in the crypt for 200 coins, and it swaps the black on his costume out for blue instead. Here's what it looks like in action. I ultimately left in the part about Anime Scorpion from the MK Legends series because it really does deserve its praise. Vaultic. Vaultic is a mysterious character referenced in a pair of Quan Chi MK1 dialogue exchanges. One with Ashra.
There is no one in the Netherrealm more evil.
You haven't met Vaultic, have you?
And one with Raiden.
Who is this Vaultic Ashra told me about?
A Netherrealm force you soon will reckon with.
The running theory is that this is the new ruler of the Netherrealm, replacing Shinnok from the previous 2 timelines. MKX Intro. This entry refers to a supposed, let's call it an inappropriate exchange between Takeda and Kung Jin and MKX that would only occur on Christmas Day. The MKWarehouse website has it listed, but despite setting my chosen console to December 25th, I could not get it to work, nor could I find it recorded anywhere. Needless to say, this one's pretty weird. Kochel. Kochel is a 3-headed demon god that originated in Mortal Kombat Deception. Although this character doesn't appear in the game, you can find a shrine dedicated to Kochel in the Netherrealm within Konquest Mode. Once arriving in the Netherrealm, a trio of challenges tasks Shujinko with defeating Black Dragon members Cobra, Kira, and Cabal. Although the quest indicated that once completed, Kochel would quote-unquote awaken, a portal would instead open before the Kochel Shrine, which would ultimately teleport you back to where you started in the Netherrealm. The prevailing theory at the time was that Kochel stood for Coin Challenge, since you would receive coins after completing the quest. Others believed that Kochel was a super unlockable character, which is a topic we discussed earlier. It's definitely weird, but it's why I love Konquest Mode. I've seen indications that some of the NPCs in the Netherrealm will reference Kochel, but I couldn't find them. Pod Lazek. Pod Lazek is a character mentioned in the Mortal Kombat Deception Konquest Mode. This exchange occurs in Chaos Realm, where an NPC says an old prison was built by Pod Lazek, a Sidon commander who tried to bring order to the realm's blissful chaos. I searched Chaos Realm for hours, attempting to find which NPC said this line, but I had no luck. Some have theorized that Pod Lazek went on to become Havoc, and that basically Havoc was originally a Sidon guard in Order Realm before transitioning to Chaos Realm. There's nothing that confirms this theory, but this specific move in Armageddon, called Decaying Guard, added fuel to the fire. It remains a mystery whether Havoc was once the Sidon guard known as Pod Lazek. Havoc's MK1 bio states that he is a member of the realm of Saibot, and before becoming Havoc, he was previously known as Dairu. It's also worth noting that Pod Lazek refers to John Pod Lazek, who worked as a producer on Mortal Kombat Deception and a couple other Mortal Kombat games. User LK99_LK4D4_LK7T2 Massive Leak. This one is crazy, so I hope you're ready. Back in 2022, a mysterious Reddit user named LK99_LK4D4_LK7T2, an obvious reference to the Cyber Ninjas, posted this thread titled Happy New Year. I bring you a riddle of things in MK12. The post included an elaborate collage of pictures serving as hints for the next game. The image explicitly referenced Damashi, the convergence of timelines, Havoc's return, Shao Kahn being General Shao instead, Sub-Zero and Scorpion being brothers, cameos, and even the Tarkat Plague. Commenters on the thread weren't sure what to think at first. Mind you, this was almost an entire year before Mortal Kombat 1 was even announced. Some called BS on the post, but in retrospect, the leaker was on the money with almost every hint. Unfortunately, the leaker has since deleted their Reddit account, but the screenshots remain on the Thinny's Twitter, which provides the leaker's explanation for every single hint. The post gained traction following the announcement and subsequent release of MK1, with some initial doubters returning to apologize. The identity of this heroic leaker remains unknown, but it's fair to assume that maybe he's an employee of Warner Brothers or even NetherRealm Studios. Whatever the case may be, this is by far the most infamous leak in Mortal Kombat history. Zebron. Zebron is a bizarre character whose concept art can be found in the Deadly Alliance bonus content section. Based on the description, this character's name is Prince Zebron, who led his race of Zebramen to freedom as they chanted the call, Viva Zebron. It was put on Ed Boon's website 2 years prior, causing quite a stir. It says this is only a joke, adding that they would not add a zebra guy in the game, right? Ed Boon has since clarified that this character will never be in a Mortal Kombat game. Pour one out for the Zebron fans out there. Rutu. Rutu is a mysterious evil character found in the Mortal Kombat 9 Challenge Tower. He appears in Challenge 93, dubbed Clarity, and is an all-black fighter with glowing eyes and a demonic spirit. There's not much known about him, and he's probably just a throwaway character. And that concludes part 1 of this Mortal Kombat Iceberg exploration. I have to say, it was fun researching these different topics. Some of them I had no previous knowledge about, and my appreciation for the MK Deception Konquest Mode has grown immensely, because it felt like so many trivia topics revolved around it.
I enjoy wandering aimlessly among the tombstones.
I know this is a departure from my usual tier list type videos, but I figured this would be a good opportunity to expand my knowledge on the series and have fun doing it. It's possible that I left out some details, and to be honest, a few entries were difficult to find anything about. Please let me know if I got anything wrong or missed something crucial in the comments. Otherwise, I'll have part 2 up as soon as possible. And if you'd like to drop a request for an entry in the comments, I'll try to include them. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with another video soon.